Recording has begun. So again, welcome to those who are joining us here this evening and to those who are watching this recording on one of our social media platforms later. My name is Chris Wiseman. I am the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity of Chester County, and I could not be more excited to be able to share some of the incredible news and announcements and wonderful things we've been able to do over this past year. Normally, this time is a quarterly update, but because of the time of the year and all the things that we do and we've been doing this past calendar year, this is my annual update, the as it were, the Habitat State of the Union address. So, my fellow habitarians, as it were, a couple things before we jump into all of the stuff we're going to share. A couple of housekeeping items. Unfortunately, this is one way, so I'm staring at myself in the video, and that's about all I get to see. And I apologize if that's all you get to see until we move on to the other clips. But there is a way to interact. There is a Q&A button you should see on your screen. Please, at any time that any questions that arise, type that into there. I may see it during the presentation. If I don't see it during, I will certainly see it at the end, and we will come back and answer some of those questions. I have some questions that were sent to me prior to the presentation, so I will answer those at the end. But again, during the presentation, please enter those, and we'll have some interaction that way as well. And as I mentioned, this is being recorded, so we'll be able to go back and watch at a later time. So let's dive in, shall we? I introduced myself, Chris Wiseman, Executive Director. I will say we have a new addition to this Wiseman clan that just joined us at Christmas. We have another puppy in the house. Her name is Rose. Will certainly be in the next picture to come. All right, Habitat, who are we? Well, our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. And our mission at Habitat for Humanity of Chester County is dedicated to bringing people together to build homes, communities, and hope. So before we dive into all of the wonderful things we've done this year, I'm going to take a step back, something we haven't done too much on these presentations and something we don't always talk about as publicly as we need to. But the reason that we're here, the reason that it's so important, the work that Habitat does in Chester County in particular, is because of the barriers that we have for homeowners to be able to even find a home that they can afford in Chester County. Chester County is the wealthiest county in Pennsylvania and one of the wealthiest in the country. The median price for a home is $492,000 in Chester County. And keep in mind, the median price is a little skewed because there are certainly pockets of wealth where that number is much, much higher. Places like Westchester and Chesterbrook, and pockets of Chester County where those numbers are quite a bit lower. But at 492,000, just as that entry point in a median household income, you would need to make $120,000 just as a starting point to get into that home. If you think about where we are in Chester County, 40% of our workforce earns less than $61,000 a year. And then what's also happening is that there are no homes that are being built in Chester County that are affordable, at least nearly. Only 8.5% of the homes built in the last couple of years are in that price range below $250,000. And you could probably look at Habitat and wonder what percentage of that are the homes that we're building. So not only are those barriers there for income and home prices, but what this actually does is creates another gap as well, because there's no place for those folks who are already in homes to move up. So folks who have bought their first home and they're ready to move into the next level, to the next price range, are priced out. They can't move up into a higher level home. And now they're stuck, which means those first-time home buyers who are looking to move into what would have been their first home and taking the place of those folks leaving, they can't move in either. So that crunch becomes even tighter. So where do they go? Well, now they're forced to rent to find a place. But rental rates in Chester County are outlandish. This is from a fair market rent study that was done not too long ago. And the fair market rent, looking at just a two-bedroom apartment across Pennsylvania, that number is $1,365 for a monthly rent for a two-bedroom. That means you have to make a minimum of $54,614. That's the average across Pennsylvania. In Chester County, you need to make $1,737 a month or $69,480 a year just to rent a two-bedroom apartment. And keep in mind, just like the housing disparities, there are pockets where that is incredibly higher, such as Westchester, where you have to have $1,977 a month or $79,000 annually just to rent a two-bedroom apartment in those areas. And where are those places in the county where those go are less are some of the pockets where we have the most poverty. So folks end up being forced into certain areas of the county because that's where the only place where the revenue, the income that they make will allow them to be. So what happens? You have high rents, you have homes that can't be afforded, we have interest rates that are still high. So folks who are coming trying to buy a home are being affected. So right now, 27% of the households already who are in the homes that we're looking at are already spending more of their 30% of their income on housing. Why is that important? Well, we've seen statistic after statistic that anyone who spends more than 30% on their housing costs are more likely to be in bankruptcy, to have to be in financial despair. We have to look at that 30% number, and that's recommended from the federal level on down, to that be the maximum amount that we spend on housing. And who is this most affecting throughout our county? It's that term that we learned during COVID, essential workers. And we see it in all the folks who apply. They're teachers, they're the folks that work in our hospitals, they're policemen, they're firemen, they're the folks that really make the county work. They're the glue that's holding us all together. And they're being priced out. And there's not a place for them to find an affordable house. And the reason that Habitat is there is because we can provide a mortgage where no one else can. And how do we determine who's going to be a part of the program? Well, affordability is in Chester County or anywhere that a Habitat works. We look at what's called the area median income. And this is a number designed by the Housing and Urban Development HUD. And they come out with an annual guideline for us to follow that looks at the average income, basically, for a different, and it's a sliding scale based on the number of folks that live in the house. Our area median income for a family of four in Chester County is 123,600. That is high because of the extremes we have in wealth in Chester County. So to apply and be a part of the Habitat program, you have to be in the 80th percentile and lower. So 80% of that number or lower on that sliding scale based on the number of folks that are in the household. And HUD defines the groups into three groups. Extremely low income, which is 30% of that AMI, very low income at 50%, or low income. And Habitat starts that program at 80%. So the 80% AMI for a family of four in Chester County to qualify to be a Habitat homeowner could be almost $100,000 a year. That sounds like a lot, but for those that are in Chester County trying to find a home and can't save money for a down payment because they're paying exorbitant rent, they can't buy a new home because the sell prices are so high, and they can't even buy a home that's been existing for a while because those homeowners aren't leaving. That's where Habitat comes in. So what does it take to be a Habitat homeowner? What we're so proud of is the work that we do is not a handout. It's a hand up. What does that mean? Well, that means that our families they have to qualify. They have to work. They have to have a steady job. They have to have a certain level of credit. They have to be able to pay their mortgage. We ask them to partner with us in all those steps to get there. And we have to make sure that they are indeed in need. And that part is probably the most critical and maybe the hardest job that our volunteers have. We have a committee of folks who go through all of the applications that we receive. And every one of those folks that come through the program that qualify from a financial piece, we all go out. We don't. Our volunteers, 100% volunteers, go out and visit each one of those families. And many of them are in some situations that are very hard. And then they look at them to make and go through all of those. And not all the time do we have enough houses for the amount of families who need them. Almost never do we have enough houses for the families that need them. And so they have to make the hard decision of who are we going to be able to put into those families. Once we make those decisions, then we ask them to partner with us to do sweat equity. And we ask for a certain number of hours based on the number of folks that are on the mortgage for each one. So they're doing that work to help build their house and their neighbor's house side by side with volunteers and our staff. Not only are they getting the buy-in of what it means to build a house and to build their own house, but they're also learning how to be a good homeowner. They're learning how to fix drywall, how to do some basic wiring, how to fix plumbing when it goes wrong. That creates not only a better homeowner, but a better community. And that saves them a lot of money to be able to continue to keep that home beautiful and again, breed a beautiful community. So now that we understand the need and where we are and what has happened, let's talk a little about some of the amazing projects that we've done so far. So this year was a banner year for the Cambria Terrace project in Coatesville. We're done. We completed the project. This is where Cambria Terrace began in the pre-2000s. This was basically the project that was there before, a stone monstrosity that was riddled with all kinds of violence and crime. I've been told in many different situations that the police would not come to this area, at least not without plenty of backup and in droves together. It was not a safe place to live. We partnered with some for-profit developers and were asked to come in and build a small amount of homes in partnership with them. Back at this time was when we had the housing bubble and the crisis hit. The for-profit developer was no longer able to continue on his part, and the city of Coatesville and the county of Chester County, got together with Habitat and found a way to make it happen. And that funding created the opportunity for us to pick up where they had left off. And those final 68 houses that were left, we were able to build. So we turned that into the beautiful community that exists now. And we had a celebration and we had a very dedicated and wonderful volunteer, a friend of Habitat, create a little video. So I like to show that to you because it really does give you the full scope of what the Cambria Terrace community is and what the possibilities are for what Habitat can create when we partner together with those other organizations and our volunteers. that project took a lifetime in Habitat's existence in Chester County, and so many hands went into it. It is truly a legacy of my predecessor, Chip Houston, and we've honored him with a bench that will be there forever, showing the honoring him and what he's done to bring that into fruition. But it is truly a testament to the many volunteers, the county, the organizations that have been a part of it, and of course the homeowners. And to this day, it is our proudest achievement and one of the most beautiful communities, I think, in all of Chester County. And it is a testament to what we're able to do, and it has been shown to others as the proof of when Habitat's given the opportunity, we can build at that scale. And that has opened up opportunities throughout the county, and we're everywhere now. And those opportunities are starting to open up, and we need to do more. We need to continue to maximize every potential we have because the need is so great. A few other projects we'll go through that are underway and under development. In the southern part of our county, in a project we called Fuller Meadows, which is named actually for the founders of Habitat, the Fullers. We have the West Grove project. West Grove is a community of, it's going to be ultimately 40 houses when complete, built in 8 stages. Each one of these are 5 townhomes built together. We're currently working on phases 5 and 6, so we've passed the halfway point, and we've built speed and momentum. So we were just building one at a time. Now we're overlapping and being able to build two at a time. So we're going to complete these even faster than we thought we were going to be able to when we first started. So that's fantastic work. Oh, geez, sorry about that. And besides those projects, we have so many more underway. We bought 3 lots with the help of the county in the city of Coatesville on Coates and Lumber Street, which we've already begun construction on the first of those houses on Lumber. And ultimately, that will create 7 more homes in the city of Coatesville. We've undertaken the process of rehabilitations, and I often joke that we're really terrible flippers because we lose money on every deal. So these are, pardon me, just as you would think of as someone who would flip a house. So we do buy the property as is. We come in and do exactly what we would do in building a new home. We use volunteers. We ask for the sweat equity from the homeowners that are going to be moving into those homes, and we rehab the homes. And they are beautiful. We bring them back to what would look like new. We are just as proud to put a homeowner into one of our rehabilitations as we are to put them into a new home. And we have 3 different ones that are working out throughout the county and more to come. Strode Avenue in Coatesville is nearly complete. We're just working on the final pieces for that. First Avenue in Coatesville is a partnership with Church Housing Corps, and that's a really fantastic opportunity for us. We both have funding through different sources, and so we're leveraging that together to be able to um, it's almost a complete rebuild as much as it is a rehab, but to be able to partner together to create another home in Coatesville. And then coming soon, we'll be working on our next really sizable project, which we're right now calling the Foundry Street project because it's on Foundry Street. We'll have a more creative name to come soon. That project is going to be broken up into 2 sections, the lower part and the upper part. It is on a hillside. So the lower piece has the ability to put 7 homes in that space. And then the upper portion, we think there's a space to put 25 to 30 homes into that spot. So we think there's 25 to 30, sorry, 30 to 37 homes in total in those 2 spaces. So there'll be a lot more to come on that, especially around the funding side, because that's going to be a really unique piece in a partnership with the county. We use some of our own funds to purchase part of that property. The county has helped us with other pieces, including some of the infrastructure. So a lot to go there. And the other rehab, which will probably be our first one that'll be complete and going to settlement in just a few weeks, is also down in West Grove on Edge Hill, down in that space too. And again, one of those that was a part of a twin, a unique space. We bought it. It's a beautiful rehab. If we were part of a company that did flip homes, we have the best team that is able to do that. So really proud of the work that we're doing in those spaces as well. And that in of itself would be a lot to just have on the portfolio and continue to do, but we really aren't slowing down. There are so many other projects that are currently underway. We're looking in the borough of Phoenixville. We have several lots that we're potentially partnering with other groups there to create what potentially could be 6 to 7 new homes in the borough. We're looking also at potentially a large multi-unit structure. I can't share a lot of details right now because we're still really trying to work out what that exactly that's going to look like. But it's part of a project for us looking to work with a for-profit developer, and we certainly have all of the support from the municipality and the leadership there to look at something at this scale, and it would be one of our bigger projects that we have done to date. And then, what's unique is that as much as we continue to look for opportunities, a lot of opportunities are coming to us. There's been some properties we've looked at in Oxford, there's been places we've looked at in New Garden, a lot of stuff in the southern part of the county, which is a wonderful, those rural parts of the county, we would love to be developing even more because we have a wonderful partnership with the USDA with their first time homebuyer program, which is a great partnership that helps us develop even more homes at a lower cost for what we do our construction. And what is maybe even more exciting than even all of those things is that we're realizing, and a lot of other nonprofits, we've really come together and understood that there are things that we do really well. I would argue that there is no one in Chester County that can do home construction and home repair. Home construction. There are great other home repair groups out there that probably actually do better than us, but no one in the county can do home construction better than Habitat. We're able to leverage volunteers. We're able to leverage the Habitat name. We were able to have product that is donated and all of those things. No one can do the high quality, affordable homes at the cost that we can do them. And by partnering with other organizations who have funding or have the means to be able to acquire homes or acquire property, we're working together now to make some of those things a possibility. So there are multiple other nonprofits that we've started partnerships with where we're basically the builder or the developer to help them have a project that comes to fruition. And the way that we look at it, as long as those requirements are the same as ours with the 80% we talked about earlier with the AMI and under, and we're serving the same exact families that we would be serving as a Habitat family, that's a family served. And that's increasing the affordable housing in Chester County. One other thing I'll mention before we move on too, with all of these updates, is we're also taking the approach of lasting affordability. Now, that means basically we look at these properties that we're creating Habitat homes for and making sure that long term they will stay affordable. And we do that through several different mechanisms. One is controlling the cost of the land and leasing out that land to the homeowners for $1 a year. And so we're involved and engaged in making sure that as the equity in that home builds at a rate that's we guarantee will be enough for that family to be extremely successful and leverage that for everything they're going to need in the future. We also stay involved so that when that home is sold, it will be able to go back to another family that meets that same criteria, and everyone becomes a winner instead of just building a tree and now it's part of, it gets cut down for the next home. We're building a tree and building another tree, and we're creating a forest of affordable homes. So as we build these, we're now creating those homes that are now stuck and unable to be moved into. We're now creating affordable homes that will be there for the long run. And that's just on the construction side. We've also implemented the Habitat Home Repair Program. And I am really proud again of how we've been able to take what was basically an investment of $100,000 to start the idea of this program and move that into $2.1 million of funding. We have two separate sources of those funds. One is from a federal program called ARPA that has been able to help, and one through the state called the Whole Home Repair. And through that, we've been able to leverage so many different repairs over the last year, 27 homes in this last calendar year, affecting 60 different adults and families that we've been able to serve. And we do everything from critical home repairs, from making sure that we have roofs that are intact and uh, making sure that people have heat in the winter and are able to be cool in the summer. We fix the drafts, anything that would make that house unsafe, and especially for someone who is aging in place. We've had multiple stories of literally life-changing events by being able to come in and do those home repairs. One of my one of the most moving days we've had in Habitat was learning about someone who had honorably served, a vet in our area, who had mobility issues and was living in a very unsafe home for his needs and was about to lose his home. And we were able to come in under the Habitat repair program and make his bathroom safe, make his home safe with lifts and zero level entries. And he told us in no uncertain terms, we saved him and his home. And to give someone who served that ability to age in place with honor and respect, it shows that sometimes these repairs might even be more meaningful than some of the new homes we build. And to be able to expand out that much. In the course of the time that we've been building, just over a couple of years, we've already completed 40 plus of these repairs and have more than 40 in process or already scheduled to be done. So it's created a whole new level of impact for our affiliate and what we're able to accomplish. So, how do we do all of that? We do it through fundraising. We do it through those grants, and we do it through those different resources that come in. Um, this past year, 2024, we raised 1.8 million through all the different contributions, and they come in from individuals, they come in from different businesses that support us, churches, our special events. We also get resources from the mortgages that our homeowners pay. So even though they're a smaller mortgage, now that we have a bundle of those mortgages in house, they help quite a bit to build the next one and the next one. And then we also get in-kind donations. So these are things that would take the place of budgeted items that we would be spending in construction. So think of these as donations of siding or wood, or take your pick of anything that we'd be normally spending on HVAC units, those kind of things. And this year we've had maybe the biggest year of those kind of donations as well. So it's made, again, an incredible impact on what we've been able to source and do. And the more we can save and the more we can raise, the more families we can help, and the more homes we can repair. And I mentioned some of those things are our special events. My personal favorite is the Build a House, Build a Dream contest that we do. These are for fifth graders all throughout the county. Um, there will be a particular fifth grader this year. Her name is Addie. She is a Wiseman, but I won't put more into it than that because I know many of the volunteer folks who will be judges. So she may come in as just a different name, but no influences. I'm not sure I'm allowed to even have her win, but she's very excited and I'm very excited. If you've never been to one of these events, it will blow your mind. The creativity, the engineering, the ingenuity of these fifth graders well, is outstanding. They create some of the most beautiful houses and some of the most unique structures you'll ever want to see. If you do get a chance, it's definitely worth coming out. This year it's March 8th, and it'll be at Stetson Middle School. And then we do other events throughout the year. Our Hops for Homes Beer Festival, you'll see information about that coming out soon. Our golf outing, which is in the fall. And then we have other multiple things with our beer books and different things that come out throughout the year, not only driven by us, but other supporters of Habitat who do events in our to benefit us as well. So we can't appreciate them enough. And then what it all comes back to and that level of impact, it's our volunteers. Last year we had and I think it was actually over 15,000 hours contributed by our volunteers. That's 15,000 hours that we didn't have to hire subcontractors and other staff, paid staff to be able to do those things. And they're everywhere throughout our organization, whether it's construction or working in our offices, sitting on committees, our board members, and working in the restore. And speaking of the restore, let's talk a little bit about what they've done and the impact they do. We often think of the restore as another way of raising money and the net proceeds going back to our home repair and to our home construction. But they do have their own mission, and it's incredibly important because they're keeping a huge amount of trash or debris that would be going into landfills. They're redirecting so much of that back into people's hands that need it. So we have two stores, one in Coatesville, and we've recently opened one just a couple of years ago in Phoenixville. And those together, over the time they've been open, since 2002, have generated $3 million. That's net in funds to be able to do our home building. Each year, they're able to raise at least enough to build a home, if not more. And they serve, besides that, the sustainability piece with keeping things from landfill, they also are they serve this wonderful location for folks to come and find hidden jewels. They're the first stop you should come to if you're sending kids to college to find the gear for their dorm rooms, and for folks who just need to find the right material for a job site, or homeowners or renters who need to find the right stuff that they need at the right cost. It's all there. And yeah, they do a great job, and we're really proud of the work that they've done and continue to do. So we're coming to the end. Um, I think that everything that we do at Habitat, what makes us really special, it is just the message of hope. We are doing the good work of helping people to be in a position not only to be in a safe environment, to be in a home that they can call their own, but we're building generational wealth. We're building opportunities for families to be to be able to realize and recognize the potential for themselves, for their children, and for generations to come. I want to share one story. Center and back. So I want to share one story that was my best moment at Habitat this year. And because of one of our wonderful donors, we're just blessed to be able to have incredible folks who support us. And we have one particular donor, an anonymous donor, who doesn't ask for any recognition, who each year looks for where his money can make the most impact. And this year we've had a homeowner who's been in our one of our homes for years, and has just been working so hard to get to that finish line, and has been really struggling. A number of issues have happened to make it really difficult for her to continue to pay her mortgage. She was struggling. She's been on payment plans, and we worked with her as much as we can, but it was just becoming too much of a burden for her to be able to make those payments, and she was near the edge of losing her home. And we talked to our donor about it, and he paid off and he pulled off her mortgage, paid off her mortgage and her taxes. And she did not know that it happened, and this was right at Christmas. And we asked her to come into the office, and I think she made the assumption that we were in that position to do the next steps to take her home. And when she came into the office, she was extremely nervous. She couldn't even drive. Her sister had brought her into the office, drove her to the office. And I said, "Your sister's here." And she said, "Yeah." I was like, "Go get your sister. Why don't you bring her in too?" And she did. And she brought her sister in. And our director of operations, Jason, and I were able to. She was nervously talking, and I finally just were able to grab her hands and look her in the eye and tell her that your journey's over, that you did it. You got there. You just needed a little help at the end. And we have a donor who's paid off your mortgage, your taxes, and you're going to be okay. And I'm from the South, so nobody cries alone in my presence. And it was a very tearful, joyful day that day. And that's who we are. That's what we get to do. We get to see folks from the beginning of that journey when they pick up a hammer and start helping to build those homes. And then we get those ending points when they get all the way through the program and realize that dream of home ownership, and the mortgage is gone and the home is truly theirs. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of those who allow me to do that great work, and all of our wonderful staff and volunteers who get the joy every day of interacting with those homeowners and each other for creating what we're able to do. It's just the beginning. Our progress and our Our growth is astounding, but it needs to be greater, and we're going to keep pushing every year to make it so. So, with that, that is the end of my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions that anyone will have. So let's check our Q&A. Oh my gosh, I don't see any questions. I'm going to give everybody just a minute to recover from my story because I'm sure, well, at least I can see my tears. So hopefully I pulled it together. Maybe others need a second. Feel free to enter any of the questions you may have in the Q&A. I do, as I mentioned, have a couple of questions that were sent to me beforehand, but we'll give everybody just a moment to be able to enter anything that they have while I take a drink of water. All right. Well, seeing no questions, as I did say, I have a couple questions that came in earlier. Someone did ask about, and it did cover a little bit of this, but I can go in more detail about more construction or more opportunities for development in the southern part of the county. And it is a great question. I mentioned we do have the West Grove project that we're halfway through now of the 40 homes, and we've definitely have had discussions with different municipalities and different folks. One of the challenges in the southern part of the county is that there are places that don't have as much infrastructure naturally built in. So we always have to factor that in where the tie-ins are, where we can, access some of those things. It's not as tightly and neatly built in some of the municipalities. Uh, what I will say is that many of the municipalities in the southern part of the county do recognize the need for affordable housing and have built that directly into their economic development plan. And if I could share one thing with the 70 plus municipalities in all of Chester County, is that something that should be done for everyone. You cannot have growth without affordable housing as a part of that growth. You definitely need to think of who those folks are in your community that are doing those roles that need to be done to keep our community moving forward. I had told a true story. I was visiting with some folks as a part of the Westchester business group down there, and I'd stopped in to have a coffee, my favorite lattes at the best one of the best shops there, I think, one of the best coffee shops in all of Chester County. Basically because of a particular barista that's there, and she was making my coffee, and she told me, sadly, this was her last day. And I said, "Oh no, what? Why?" And she said, "Well, I can't afford to keep coming to work here. There's no place I can rent or live, and transportation into Westchester is not great. So I've had to take another job somewhere else." Besides the personal devastation of not being able to come in and get that coffee that she made so well, I did share the story with the businessmen in Westchester and explained, listen, that's a canary in the coal mine. If we don't have the mechanism to be able to have affordable housing of some kind, either that's rental or able to purchase a home in these locations, then you're losing your service workers. You're losing the folks that are going to be working in those restaurants, excuse me, or those other, lovely boutiques that are downtown, those kind of places. So that needs to be built in. In this other part of the county, that's agriculture. I mean, those are some of the most important jobs that we have in the county, in the southern part for sure, to be able to sustain the economy. So we're open to not only the building discussion, but the development side, which includes those pieces as well. And we've worked with municipalities to help show what can be done as far as the affordable housing side and how that can be built into their economic development plan. So we're there for that as well. So great question about that. We want to do more there. That partnership with the USDA that I mentioned, they actually provide the first mortgage. They provide the mortgage, basically. We have a multiple mortgage structure, but they provide the mortgage for the first time homeowner. They have similar opportunities to be able to make that affordable as we are at Habitat. And instead of waiting 30 years for us to get that mortgage back, they are able to give us those funds now, and that allows us to build the next one quicker. And there's other programs that they can help us with low interest loans and other things like that too. So anything that we do in a rural part of the county, not only the southern, there are some parts throughout, it allows us to build more, allows us to build quicker, So we open any opportunity. We're open to any opportunity that shows itself in the southern part of the county. We're eager to do more there. I had one other question. I'm going to check the Q&A here just to see if we had any others come through. Nope. Maybe it's disabled. Maybe I've just helped myself. I don't think so. I believe it's working. The last question was how do I get involved? Well, that's easy. Just visit our website. There's multiple ways to look there to be able to get involved, and there's multiple ways to get involved. You don't have to be a construction expert to come. If you want to come to the and volunteer to work on the site, you certainly we would love to have you. We have a volunteer coordinator. Her name is Brooke Seeger. She will help guide you towards what is the best place for you to volunteer. And that can be anywhere from, as we mentioned earlier, on the construction site. We've had folks from businesses come. We do a thing called a team build where there's a sponsorship, a small sponsorship that they pay. They get to come for a day of play. They get to be together. They get a hard hat and a cool shirt. But they always walk away with such joy that almost all of them come back and want to do it again. And some folks, they've worked in the trades before and they know how they're doing, and we can give them a bandsaw and let them go to town. And others were like, "Sir, I think the hammer goes this way," and we let them carry gravel, but it's still meaningful, and they help us out, and they love it, and they come back for more. Or there's other opportunities to work in the restore or to help us out in the administrative side. If that relationship can be deeper, we certainly have committees that help guide what we do and into our future. And we have a board of directors that help look farther into the future and set the guidelines and the guideposts for what we're trying to accomplish. So there's several ways to be able to get involved. And of course, fundraising is incredibly important for us. So anyone who wants to help us seek out those opportunities, we love for folks to give, but even just helping us tell our story, giving us connections to others to let them know what we're doing is always appreciated and very important. So with that, and seeing no more questions, I will once again thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight and those that are joining us after the fact during the recorded video. It's been an honor, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening, and thank you again. Good night.